My guest today is David Pinger. David is the co-founder of the Warden Protocol. Warden, of course, brings AI to Web3. We'll learn all about this today. David, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Andy, thanks for having me. I'm doing very good. Very much looking forward to discussing the intersection of blockchain and AI.
Excellent. I am as well, David. Let's do what we do at the beginning of the show. It would be great if you could please introduce yourself. I would love to hear some of your personal and professional backstory. Yeah, what have you been doing in the lead up to co-founding Warden Protocol?
Sure thing, Andy. So my name is David. I studied business administration and computer science. I'm a summa cum laude MBA graduate and a PhD dropout. Got about 15 years of work experience now, and originally started in quantitative finance and then became an operator working at Uber, Binance, and then later at a large custodian called Friedel. At Binance, I led the operations of research and development blockchain division. We had about 20 engineers exploring frontier technologies like artificial intelligence, automations, zero knowledge, and how they would help custodial operations. And it was really during that project that I realized the size and the scale of the opportunity of merging blockchain and AI. And I understood that merging both requires really fundamentally new AI native on-chain infrastructure that just doesn't exist yet. So really, I left my job. I gathered the smartest people that I had met throughout my career. I invested the money that I had. I've bootstrapped Warden ever since. And I've been working 7 days a week on it. So we're about a year in now. And yeah, that's the origin story of Warden.
Excellent. Thank you, David. And I can see, you guys talk about this idea of, an AI blockchain interface. So the idea being, you want to build an intuitive interface for developers to begin to integrate AI into their applications. And I guess, but of course, first, you talk about why AI and blockchain need a shared language, if you like, so developers can begin to unlock their full potential. So maybe just to explain the vision there, what that means, David.
Sure. So, Andy, I think blockchain and AI really, they've developed in silos from one another, right? Both technologies really haven't given much consideration to one another. They've kind of each advanced in their own domain. And now, for the first time, after really decades of this parallel and isolated development, the silos that those technologies were being developed in is kind of breaking up, right? So we are really at Warden exploring the potential of combining both of these fundamental technologies in one synergistic or in one single and synergistic step. And I think when I zoom out, this convergence doesn't happen by accident. I think what we're seeing is that AI and blockchain have really fallen into the hands of millions of users recently. And driven by that adoption, some of those limitations have become clearer, the limitations of each of these technologies. So I think each of these technologies, whether it's blockchain or AI, they have their own challenges. So when I look, for example, on the blockchain side, blockchain applications, they traditionally struggled with onboarding new users. Transitioning users from Web 2 into Web 3 has been difficult. And I think one of the reasons for that is that ML and AI technologies are inaccessible to Web 3. So how can a Web 3 app compete for Web 2 users when you have such a fundamental technology not available? Another one is a lot of blockchains also have difficulty scaling. So how can blockchains improve their scalability and really rival some of the databases that we see from Web 2? So those are some of the challenges that blockchain has. But AI also has its own challenges. When you look at, for example, the training compute for frontier AI models, those costs for it have increased 4x per year over the last 10 years. So this becomes ever more expensive. So how can we broaden the access to compute to bring the cost down? Another one is 15 billion images were created by AI in a single year. So that's 150 years worth of photography created within 1 year. So how can we distinguish between what an AI has generated and what not? Or a third one, for example, on the AI challenge could be frontier models. You know, they're trained on trillions of data units from you and me, from unpaid contributors. So how can we incentivize people to continue to contribute to AI's development? And how can we make this development more equitable? So I think this convergence between these two technologies is not accidental. I think both of these technologies are looking for solutions to each other's problems. And that's what's driving this convergence. And I don't think that this will be the panacea that will solve all of the problems. I think we can solve some of these challenges through each other's technologies. But to your question, why do they need to speak the same language? At the moment, both technologies speak completely different languages. Blockchain wasn't made for AI. When you look at a general purpose blockchain like Ethereum or Solana, that's not meant to process AI operations. They're meant to verify very simple transactions, not probabilistic heavy compute ML and AI operations. So to answer your question, they need to speak the same language to unfold their full potential. We need to be able to have both systems communicate and interact with each other. And that's my vision. That's our journey at Warden.
Yeah, absolutely. And so over time, you kind of see the idea being that AI will become the brain of blockchain, which kind of, it does make sense, David, I think, because if you think of blockchains, they're just, these kind of big decentralized tech monoliths. But yeah, maybe an AI brain for blockchain does make sense. So explain how over time AI could help drive the scalability of blockchains and manage congestion and perhaps solve some of the issues that the early generation blockchains have had.
Sure. I like that. I like that metaphor, the brain for blockchain. It's very, very cool. I think that blockchain or AI can change blockchains fundamentally and profoundly. And that's in a lot of different areas. And not all of those areas are clear yet. This is a very nascent field. And some of the synergies are still being explored. But I can tell you about some of them that I'm excited about.
Sure.
So could be, for example, one area that I'm excited about is dynamic network optimization. So when you look at one of the big challenges that blockchains have had traditionally has been around scalability and network efficiency. And there's throughput limitations on these. So by integrating AI into blockchain systems, networks can really start to use machine learning models to dynamically optimize parameters of the network. That can be block size, transaction throughput, and that really improves the scalability of these systems. It lets blockchain networks manage higher transaction volumes more efficiently. And I think that will promote the adoption of these blockchains even more. The second one that I see is security. With AI, blockchains can also become more secure. So AI models are really good at detecting fraud or unusual behavior within a large set of data. And I think that AI gives us the capability to flag and address potential attacks before they can cause a damage. So we can use AI systems to basically continuously monitor transactions and really bolster blockchain's inherent security features. And I think that will make it easier to detect known and unknown attacks, whether that is fraud detection, anomaly detection, malware, anomalous transactions. So security is a second bucket that I find very impactful. And then the last one that I'm personally at Warden that we are most excited about is agentic interfaces, agents. So blockchains, blockchain applications, they've traditionally had an onboarding problem, struggled to onboard Web2 users because of poor user experience. The AI gives us the capability, agents give us the capability to create completely new user interfaces. So we can really transform this on-chain data from, I would say, raw information into searchable, human-readable insights. We can instruct an agent to act on our intent and really manage like cross-chain, more complicated cross-chain transactions for us on behalf of us. And ultimately, I envision a future where these types of agents will do the majority of the trading on behalf of us. They can explain risks to us. They can suggest optimal trading strategies. They can assess market conditions, and they can take my own user preferences into considerations as I'm doing this. So that's ultimately, I'm very excited about these three areas, whether it's dynamic network optimization, security, or agent interfaces.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, maybe we'll come back to the agent thing in a minute also, David, like, because I see that you guys were tweeting about some of the, I guess you'd call them like the early examples of AI agent meme coins and some of these experiments that people are running in terms of essentially creating an AI and then giving it some certain parameters. And yeah, like one of the famous ones is Goatsy, of course, which, crypto Twitter people may be aware of, but there's quite a few of them, and there's some, yeah, they're fascinating experiments, a little bit scary, a little bit crazy, but you can see the future is just starting to unfold faster than perhaps people are ready for, David, in some respects. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think that these, you mentioned it with Goatsy. I think that these are fantastic experiences, and those are, they're progressing very quickly.
They are.
And I think when I look at it, when I look at the landscape of this, I think right now, this is very still early days. When you look at what those agents are capable of doing, then it's not that much. At the moment, this is still I would say, the proof of concept experimental stage. What I'm interested in is figuring out, how can we give these agents utility and autonomy to really start impacting our lives for the better. At the moment, you see a lot of the agents being limited to thought experience. Like perhaps I put 2 LLMs into a chat room and I see the outcome of it. I'm interested in seeing, okay, how can we give these agents utility? What can we do to actually help them? And what kind of environment do they need to thrive as well?
All right. Well, so let's bring it back to Warden Protocol then, David. So just give us a sense of where you're at in terms of, I guess, the product or roadmap, whatever you want to call it. Is testnet? Are we on mainnet? Where are we at in the Warden Protocol journey?
Sure. So we've been building for 12 months, and we took we took the decision to build this from the ground up. So our solution is really not an agent instance or something. What we built is a full stack layer 1 blockchain for AI. And that's not a general purpose platform chain. It's not an app chain. It's not an Oracle. or it's another EVML2. So what we did was we decided to specialize on processing AI operations, because I'm convinced that AI needs a blockchain architecture that's optimized for its requirements and purposes. So this solution really consists of different layers. That's how you typically model different blockchains, through layers. And really, we have 4 of these layers. So on the application layer at the very top, by building this from the ground up, we were able to solve some of the most pressing challenges that we see these AI applications like agents will have. I'll give you a couple of examples. For example, ML and AI models, they're often inaccurate. And consequently, when an agent wants to use those models, it will make mistakes. Those inaccuracies are all the more impactful when you deal with money. You don't want your agent to lose money for you. So we invented custom infrastructure to evaluate how well a model performs before an agent takes a decision. And this knowledge really lets your agent, first of all, it lets your agent not make these mistakes. It allows them to make smarter decisions. The second one that we saw was a lot of agents today, I mean, you mentioned it with Goatsy, they lack on-chain access. They're usually, without interoperability, they're really tied to like a single chain. When you have an agent that can only interact with a DEX on one particular chain, that's not my idea of an agent. That's a bit like, I think of this as having a car without a road. I think that agents, at least in my view, they should be able to carry out any on-chain task across any Web3 application. That's what a true agent does for me. So we built this rich interoperability infrastructure with MPC-based chain and signature abstractions so that agents can sign anything and anywhere. And then the last thing, for example, that we see at least on the application layer side, is somehow you and I have to make sure that our agent remains aligned with our goals, right? So you and I need to be able to formulate our intent, and we must be able to give our agent guardrails within which to act. They need a human-in-the-loop system to intervene basically before the agent goes rogue. So we built a very rich intent-specific language with approval schemes that lets us define the conditions that must be met before this agent acts. So those are some of the pressing agent challenges that we've seen on the Warden Protocol that we've solved. And then underneath that, of course, you have the other layers of our solution, whether that is our ML and AI layer, our token and incentive layer, or our blockchain layer. So really, we've taken this from the ground up to build the entire solution, purpose-built around AI integration.
Got it. Thank you, David. And also, there's a token. The token is called Warp, isn't it? So that's going to be the utility token, and people can get that. That's like get it for airdrop points and so on, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So our token is very interesting. We have a token incentive layer. So we have our own token, Warp, and every ML and AI inference on us, every action that your agent does on us, costs Warp. So from the point of the inference all the way to your agent paying for gas and confirming transactions, all handled within one single token. And I'm excited about it because really this powers our ecosystem. We can coordinate and we can help work with our community together with it. So for example, in our last testnet, we had 140,000 users questing with us and giving us feedback on our product. in exchange for this. And in the future, we can think about a more collaborative take on it, where we work together with the community and be able to compensate them for their data contributions to AI. So that can be things like data labeling, model provisioning, data annotations. So we can really create this shared community layer where AI developers can work together with data contributors. And our token is really the vehicle for this.
Yeah, got it. Makes sense. And another way of framing this, David, is, you guys talk about how it says it on your website, and you wrote a blog post, I think, called Blockchain Isn't for Humans, which is quite a nice framing. It goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning. You kind of blockchains, no, they're just these massive unthinking tech monoliths. But again, it's that idea that, eventually AI will do the thinking for blockchains, right?
Yeah, I think that blockchains, from my point of view, weren't made for humans. I think that blockchains were made to be primarily interactive with AIs, actually. So I think when you fast forward in 5 years, we will look back thinking, we will look back thinking, why did humans do this in the first place? Why did we transact on the blockchain? I think the majority of transaction volume that we will see in DeFi or on-chain in general will be from AI agents on behalf of us. And really the way that I like to think about it is when you're interacting with an application today in Web2, you don't interact with the back end. You interact with the front end. No Web2 users wonders what type of framework is an application built on top of. When you're using Uber, you're not seeing the database in the background. You're not seeing the framework, the web application framework that was used for this. What you care about is whether your taxi arrives on time. So I think blockchains will really slowly dissipate into the background. They will fade. And I think that we will see AI taking on the majority of the front end work. And in fact, you can already kind of start to see this in Web2 today. You will see more and more people interacting with ChatGPT-like interfaces rather than traditional applications. I think that we will see that in Web3 as well. In Web3, the burden of coordinating cross-chain is very high. The UX isn't good right now. And I think having the ability to abstract that interface away from the user and making it more simple on them, I think that will drive better adoption. Better UX means more adoption. And I think AI is the way to get us there.
Yeah, very well said, David. All right, well, look, as we finish up this part of the podcast, for people that want to learn more about what you guys are doing at Warden Protocol, whether they're just casual users, whether they're developers, what is the best place for people to come and learn more about what you are doing? Where should they go? What should they do?
I think the first step would be, you can, of course, always visit our website, wardenprotocol.org, or if you're more interested and more technically inclined, our doc site, docs.wardenprotocol.org. But really, if you want to get in touch with us, we're very active on socials. We're primarily on X and on Discord. And we actually interact with our users a lot. So each Friday we sit down and we sort through the tickets in our product channel on Discord. And we think about and engage in conversation with the users submitting them on what we can do to improve our product. So community is incredibly important to us. And I think the best place to start will be Discord and X. And then, of course, if you also want to get more engaged with us, you can also visit our dashboard site where we publish regular requests for our users to really help us refine our roadmap going forward. So I think that those would be the best station.
Yes, indeed. And links, of course, are in the show notes as well, folks. And, well, David, it is time to start to finish up the episode. And we do that, of course, by running you through the very famous crypto conversation hot take round. Are you up for it?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's go for it, David. I'm just going to run some questions at you, and I just want you to give me your honest answers, hot take style, if you like. Let's see what you have to say. Question 1 for you, David, is where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
I'm a multi-chain opportunist.
Yep. Okay, well, what would you say is your firmest conviction crypto opinion, David?
I think the firmest conviction is AI will completely transform blockchain. And unless you're building AI first now, you will be obsolete in 2 years.
Yeah, great observation. Let's see how it plays out. Let's look even further into the future. And we'll do this by using a quote by Bill Gates, who famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. So yeah, I mean, 10 years time, what does Warden Protocol, what do AI agents look like in 10 years time? What can they do apart from, run people's finances and so on? What else can agents do?
I think that in 10 years from now, we will have an AI running on a blockchain that exceeds human capability in most of the areas. And that includes nearly every application on Web2 and in Web3. And I think that they will be shipped in the form of physical interfaces. I think that we will, in the next step, see blockchain AI converging into physical devices. Those can be robot-based assistants.
Yeah, I like it. All right, let's think of this another way. William Gibson famously said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. Can you think of an example, David, of the future being here right now, but most people aren't aware of it?
Something that the future is here, but most people aren't aware of yet. I think that the diffusion of AI and the acceleration of AI is at a tipping point right now. We will see the pace, you mentioned it earlier, can be scary. This will accelerate. I think that as a human, we think of these things as linear progressions. AI doesn't progress linearly. It progresses exponentially. So the step from where we are now to reaching capabilities that surpass human intelligence is something that is frightening, and it will happen sooner than we think.
Yeah, and look, if you've anyone that's read The Singularity is Coming by Ray Kurzweil, he explains exponential steps quite well in that book of, there's various analogies. The chessboard analogy is a good one as well. It's just hard for humans to think in non-linear terms, isn't it? Which is why the pace of change is just going to be so incredible, perhaps frightening in the decade or two ahead, David.
Blockchains will be able to mitigate some of that. For example, there's a lot of discussions happening around human and AI alignment.
Yes.
I think the truest form of alignment is to have models being managed on DAOs, on decentralized autonomous organizations, where every action is voted upon, where you can see inputs and outputs, where you truly have on-chain governance of these models. So I think blockchain can also contribute to solving some of that human AI alignment issue that is frequently talked about in the AI space.
Yeah, I agree. And it brings us nicely to the final question, David, which is, what is your favorite piece of sci-fi? Could be a book, a film, a TV show.
My favorite sci-fi, I have to say, I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. Big Lord of the Rings fan, big Game of Thrones fan. Those are probably my two favorites.
Excellent. Couple of fantastic fantasy choices there. I like it. Well, we reached the end of the show, David. Thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us. Just to close it out, again, tell people where they can go to learn all about Warden Protocol. And look, where share your Twitter profile, your X profile, anywhere else you like to hang out online.
Yeah, I think join our Discord. We are there every Friday hosting community hours, AMAs. If you have something on your mind, if you have something that you don't like about our product, if you have something that you like about our product, that's the best place to host it. We review that meticulously because we want to do this right and we want to do this with the community together.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. All the best.
Cool.
And bye for now.
Andy, thank you. Bye-bye.